Work. Congressman Joe Walsh is a Republican representing Illinois. He's joining us live now to talk a little bit more about this process and also his own story. And Congressman, one of the questions that was asked in this press conference is one our viewers have as well, and it talks about just plain and simply time. Critics say even if this repeal gets through the House of Representatives and the Senate, that once it hits the president's desk, he can veto it. And that's wasting a whole lot of time when we could be working on other issues like job growth. What's your response to that criticism?
My response would be, how can we be wasting the American people's time when we're doing with what they sent us here to Washington to do? The Speaker was right. They sent us to Washington in large part to repeal Obamacare. They were clear about that throughout this entire campaign. I'm part of a large freshman class that ran on repeal. The American people want repeal, and I think it's real refreshing that we're acting right away on one of their biggest concerns.
Now, one of the other things that you ran on during this election cycle, and you made a lot of headlines for it, is saying that when you get to Congress and you were elected, that you were not going to take the government health care. Is that the case, and why?
It's interesting, Jenna. I made that pledge a year ago. I didn't want Congress to be able to exempt themselves from the impact of Obamacare. I don't want to. And again, this is a great freshman class. Each and every member's got to do what's best for them. I do not want to burden the American taxpayer with any of my benefits, any of my or my wife's health care benefits, and most certainly my pension benefits. I don't look at this as a career, and for me, I don't want to take a pension.
You also are saying that you're going to have a term limit for yourself, and what makes the story even more interesting is that you've talked to the media about your wife having a pre-existing condition, and as we all know, when you have a pre-existing condition, it's very difficult to get health care. So how are you going to get health care?
It's terribly difficult. The whole issue of pre-existing conditions is a difficult one. Obamacare will make that process, I think, entirely worse. There are other reforms. My wife and I are in this together, and we're going to have to, and we're in the process right now of setting out in the individual market to do what we need to do. Her medical health will get taken care of. I simply didn't want the American taxpayer to be tapped with that bill.
So what kind of reforms do you think are necessary to help a family like yours with pre-existing conditions if it's not a massive overhaul like some are saying we're seeing with this law?
Again, there are two ways to go. One is put it all on government and have government regulate and mandate what insurance companies do. I don't think that's the way to go. I think what the American people want is to free up this healthcare process so that private insurance companies can be out there and meet the needs of my wife and the pre-existing conditions she's got and conditions that other families have. What we want to do, what this freshman class wants to do, is offer a real radically refreshing type of representation. We're going to be very different. We're going to be with our constituents all the time, and that's what we're doing right now, and that's why you're seeing the vote for Obamacare next week, to repeal Obamacare next week. We're following up on what we said we were going to do.
Just a quick final question and a little bit of a personal one. How does your wife feel about your decision?
She's fully on board. She's in this struggle with me. It wasn't easy, but again, she knows how important it is. We went through a difficult campaign. This is something I've talked about for a year, the pledge not to take benefits. It's something we hear every day from people who are so hungry for a different kind of a representative. I simply we do not want to burden the taxpayer with any of our health care expenses, and we want to get about the task of improving the entire system.
Congressman Walsh, congratulations. Day 2 for you. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and look forward to talking to you again, sir. Thank you.
Jenna, thanks much.